Hey everybody, it is week 15. This is CIT 12 and happy Thanksgiving! Hey everybody, it's a holiday week, so this is kind of a short week. Our face-to-face classes would get Thursday and Friday off. They're going to have less work, so obviously you should have less work. We should sort of honor the holiday. And so this is going to be sort of a partial week. There's a chapter, there's a quiz, there's a discussion, but the thing that sort of takes up half the week for most people, the lab, no lab this week. We'll get to that in a second. First, I just wanted to cover some sort of news. Last week I made a mistake on one of the sections. All right, so one of you had sort of wrong information. A couple weeks were flipped. I fixed that in your section, made notes there, so hopefully you saw that and you are doing the right stuff. But essentially I opened stuff up so that would be corrected. For that one section, I won't get into it so that I confuse the other section. You know what happened. You can actually read that note. But for the other section, somebody mentioned just today, a couple people emailed me and said, hey, I don't think my IT lab is responding this morning. And so it was Sunday, which I know is the last day for people to do the third lab for PowerPoint, and just it wasn't available. It was just showing a white screen for some people. And so whenever I get messages from a couple different people who definitely are not connected in any way, then I kind of figure, all right, well, that's probably means that there's something going on. I checked as of late this afternoon. I wasn't around a computer this morning, and it was back up and running, working just fine. So hopefully it fixed itself. But for those people who, work on Sunday and do their work on Sunday, which admittedly is the last minute, but it's legal, right? You should have the ability to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just extend it for both sections. So the other section, because I screwed up, I had already extended stuff. I'm extending stuff for both sections now. And so you'll notice PowerPoint Lab 3 is not actually, it's not going to disappear tonight, which of course you're going to see this tomorrow morning. So it didn't disappear last night or last Sunday night, whenever you actually do see this video. Lab 3 will still be available for another week. So Lab 3 will disappear on November 29th. That is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. That gives you an extra week for that lab if you need it. Hopefully you don't need it because it's a holiday and you should be enjoying yourself. And then I'm also going to push back the PowerPoint practical so that it will not disappear the week after Thanksgiving. It will disappear on December 6th. So you have an extra week for the PowerPoint practical. Now I'm extending those two things in PowerPoint, so you've got a bit more time to do them, but that doesn't mean that we won't do the Windows lab, which I still need to test out and make sure it works for the new system because it's a new lab. But regardless, we may end up doing some overlap with Windows and PowerPoint, and that's okay. The Windows lab, from what I remember, is very, very short. So that should be good. Most of our MyIT lab work is done now. So anyway, if you are somebody who's already done the PowerPoint practical, you've turned it in, congratulations. Don't worry about it. You've got nothing to worry. You can just enjoy your holiday. When you come back, you've got one more lab. It's a short one on Windows, and life will be good. But for this week, those two assignments are being extended. Now, as for the actual work this week, right? So the actual assigned work this week, not just stuff from past weeks that we're extending. It's week 15. We're looking at chapter 8. Chapter 8 is all about digital devices and digital media. It's a rather light chapter, kind of just a fun chapter. Talks about smartphones and streaming video and a whole bunch of stuff that, if we're honest, you probably already know. In fact, I would be willing to guess that if you took the quiz without even looking at the chapter, you might do well. If you're somebody who uses Hulu and Netflix and does social media on a regular basis, you probably already know a little bit about smartphones, Android, iPhone, etc. If you don't, no problem. That's why we have the chapter. It's there. It's a light chapter, a light read, and so hopefully the chapter and quiz will not take you much time. Our discussion, also rather light, nothing super complicated. There are two videos I want you to take a look at. It seems sort of perfectly timed for Black Friday and entering into a holiday season that some people say are is a little bit maybe too commercial. But the idea here is, in this new digital world, right, you have choice like you would not believe. I think I mentioned in the lecture video this week, we went from a society that used to watch movies in theaters with our community, right, with our city, people who went to your school. There's a reason why Star Wars was huge. When I was a kid, everybody saw Star Wars. It wasn't a nerd thing, it wasn't a jock thing, everybody saw Star Wars. It didn't matter what your race, color, creed, socioeconomic status, everybody saw Star Wars. And the reason is because there was only 4 theaters, and like 4 theaters in the movie theater, and 2 of them were probably showing Star Wars, and what were you going to do? We all sort of saw the same stuff, and that gave us as a community this sort of language that was interconnected. Everybody knew what the Force was, and we had a lot of things in common. And then in the 80s, we had the VCR, which doesn't seem like a huge thing, but it meant that we stopped seeing movies as a community and started seeing them as a family, which is nice. We could just make a decision, see what we wanted to as a family. And there was a lot more diversity of movies that came out. You had more options, right? You could go to a Blockbuster Video and you would see so many different options of movies you could watch as a family. But even then, the family kind of had to agree on something. And then we got to today, where everybody can watch videos on their laptop or smartphone or tablet, and you don't even have to agree as a family. Every individual gets to decide what they want, and you have more choice than ever. But there's not even a shared language within families in some cases. And so those values that sort of maybe get passed along, even just, simple stuff, but the kind of common language, common experience that we might have with people, we don't necessarily have anymore. The fact is, I have more in common with people who I play games with who live in New Zealand or Germany than I have with people who live on my own block. It's something where it changes the way we do things. Now, this could be good or bad, but regardless, what it does to society is an interesting topic, and it's one that's explored in the lecture this week. But the discussion, although you can spin it that way a little bit if you want, is really more about your happiness. Does all this choice, right? Does having the ability to decide to watch, exactly the kind of content you want to watch, listen to the music that you want to listen to, consume, read the things you want to read. All of this extra choice, right? Which goes beyond, technology it makes products cheaper as well. And so all this increased productivity means that we've got a massive amount of products on the market. You can, choose between all sorts of different clothes and ketchups and mustards and all sorts of things. And so does all this choice in your life, does that make you happier, or does that make you more miserable? And so that's the point of the discussion this week. There are 2 short videos. They're actually longer videos, but you only have to watch a portion of them. It's about 5 minutes. I think it's maybe 6 or 7 minutes on the other one. Within 10 minutes, you're going to be able to watch both of the video clips. The first one is by an author by the name of Malcolm Gladwell. Great author. And he talks about spaghetti sauce. He actually talks about a few things if you watch the clip that I laid out. And the time codes for where you should listen to. So you can just drag the bar over to the 7-minute mark or 7-minute 30-second mark, whatever it is, and then just watch from there until I say the mark where you can stop listening. Obviously, you can continue to watch the entire thing if you'd like. You might enjoy it. But the Malcolm Gladwell video, he talks about spaghetti sauce and about the move from just having spaghetti sauce, plain tomato sauce, to having 80 different varieties of spaghetti sauce when you go to the market, and how that makes you happy. His argument is going to be all of this additional choice means that you can find something that makes you happier than you could ever have been before, right? You will get a better product and better choice. it's all the things that we tend to think of when we think of the benefits of capitalism and the benefits of living in a modern society where you have lots of choice, right? You should be happier. The second video is by a guy named Barry Schwartz. And a little warning, if you're very sensitive to language, Barry Schwartz tends to be a little salty, but I mean, it's college. We're all adults here. So yeah, he shows a slightly risque New Yorker cartoon and probably says a couple salty things. Regardless, Barry Schwartz is the author of a book called The Paradox of Choice. And it's an interesting counterpoint. Essentially what he says is you do get a product that is better. You get a product that is probably better than any product you would have gotten before because you have so much choice, right? The movie that you get to watch, those movies are finely tuned for you, right? You can see independent films that you never would have been able to see in Fresno before, and they can make you laugh because it's just your kind of humor, and it's a better product. But the idea of having so much choice actually makes you more miserable. And he will use examples of jeans and even retirement funds and things like that, where having more choice actually makes you feel inundated because of all the choices. And it doesn't matter what choice you make, the choice that you make, you actually will feel kind of worse about, because in your head, there's always this other option you could have chosen that may have been better. And so even though you actually have a better product, you may actually be less happy with it, just as a part of our human nature. And so it's an interesting counterpoint. Watch both videos and then just tell me what you think. I mean, it's a fairly light topic in terms of actual discussion. Do you think that all of this choice that we have in our society makes you happier? Or does it actually make you more miserable? Do you feel worse because of all the choice that you have in your life and all the choices then you have to make in your life? You didn't have to do research on the internet to buy mustard in 1984. I can vouch for that, right? You could just buy a mustard. People did not do reviews of mustard online. We've gotten to almost a ridiculous amount of choice. And so decide, does that make you happy? Are you happy with this, or does it make you kind of miserable? All right, and that's it. So read the chapter, or don't read the chapter, try and do the quiz without it. I should probably say you should read the chapter. Read the chapter. Do the quiz, quick discussion, like on 2 videos, about 5 minutes apiece, and a rather light discussion. So it's fairly quick week because it's a half week. No lab unless you're making up past labs, in which case kind of on you. But regardless, hopefully this feels a little bit more breezy. And again, because I've now extended PowerPoint Lab 3 through Friday, through Sunday. So you get another week for that, and the PowerPoint Practical another week. So that won't disappear until December 6th. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of freedom to where if you've got plans with family this week, maybe you can kind of blow off class a little bit to be with your family. And I think that's a good decision to make every once in a while. Anyway, that being said, hopefully it feels like a light week to you. Things, like I said, should be getting lighter as we approach the holidays and the end of the semester. We've done most of the heavy lifting for this course, so yeah, hopefully things will get better. And then things will just get worse in all your other classes. So, that's the way. Hopefully it'll get really light in this class as your chemistry class becomes insane. All right, so if you have any questions, email me. You know my email. You actually can text me, whatever you want. You know how to get a hold of me. And I will see you online.